I'm recording
Recording
too.
now?
I'm recording. Alright. 3, 2, 1, and go. Hello, everybody! My name. No.
You already messed it up.
I already
Good
messed it
job.
up. God.
My name is Logic Mage.
No,
My name is Bramblery.
A logical
Oh,
rage.
boy.
God.
Super QGO.
Okay.
You think
let's do
we
that
know
over.
how to do this by now?
Hello, everybody! Welcome back to the Travelers Podcast, episode 4 of season 2. My name is the Logic Mage.
I'm Super QGS.
I'm Brambler.
And today we are joined by a very, very special guest. Everyone
Brad
say
Brown.
hello. Brad Brown.
That's not my name.
No, his actual name is torogadude, but
My
we
name
can...
is torogadude.
Exactly.
I'm sorry, Toro. I didn't mean to offend.
It's okay.
Welcome to the podcast, torogadude.
Welcome to the podcast, yeah. So, this is a bit late coming, but we got super hectic with our lives. I was failing school, but it's okay now. But now we're ready to record the long-awaited end of the Travelers podcast. So this is... Oh, it's crazy. You know, I think
Wait,
before the
this is-
podcast...
This is the last
go.
one?
No,
For
this
a
is the
while,
last
at
one of
least.
season 2. But this is
Oh.
like the last one covering like puzzle events and things like that. Like this is the finale of like, you know, we were gonna have you on like one time while we're solving the puzzle, and then one time at the end to discuss everything. And you know, maybe we'll have you again
Yeah.
sometime later. But
Maybe.
I don't know, it's crazy. The 10-year or not 10-year anniversary. The 1-year anniversary of the Travelers release is in 10 days, and it's absolutely crazy that like it doesn't feel like it's been a year already. But I don't know, it's been a really awesome journey. But anyway, to get into these topics.
So it turns out, as we have it listed here, I'll read it line for line. Happenstance isn't happenstance. Shocking, I know.
So basically, we were on VC one night, and you know, I think it was episode 3.5 or something. We had Happenstance on for the Travelers podcast, and Amy joined, and we had speculated that Amy was Happenstance before. And when she talked, it was just Happenstance's voice from the podcast. However, she went into detail that apparently Happenstance had actually paid her, like, what was it? Like, how much money? I forget
I
the
think
number.
she said like $400 something dollars.
Yeah,
Something
in order to
crazy.
voice act for the
400?
Traveler. Yeah, I think she said $400 to voice act for the Travelers podcast.
I don't believe it.
I'm skeptical, I have to say, but
This
it
game
keeps
is not
getting
that
more.
popular.
Yeah, it's not $400 popular, but I don't know if it was fake. I feel like it would have been a more realistic number. I don't know.
The thing is, too, like, Amy's kind of a bit sketchy herself, so, you know, you kind of have to take... all I'm saying is it's unverified, right? So you gotta take it with a grain of salt.
Yeah,
So,
but it's just
you know.
like what happened? Okay, that's like we have such a missing chapter of the Traveler's story. We have no idea what happened with the atomic detonator or happenstance or anything. Like, current working theory is that Allocator and Amy kind of work together to create the happenstance personality. But according to Amy, happenstance paid her to voice act for the Travelers podcast, and that's why like there were certain moments. I think we cut them out, but there were certain like after we asked her a question, like there was kind of a moment of silence before she responded, and so apparently happenstance was talking. Or the real Happenstance was talking to her. I don't know. It's really weird. I don't know if it's true or not, but that's more information that we have to work off of.
Yeah. It's just such a strange part of, like, the whole Traveler's lineage that I don't even know what to really take away from it, so to speak. But
It's
it definitely...
it's like one of the only things that's like completely unconfirmed, that like we don't have a clue of like the reasoning behind any of it. And it was so integral to like the final solving of the puzzle. And we just don't know, like, what was going on the other side of the war. Like, we know what was happening from our perspective, but we're completely missing the other side's perspective. And it's a mystery I'd love to get to the bottom of someday.
Also, I'm curious, torogadude, you never really commented on the whole happenstance drama. What did you think of it all when it was going on?
I just thought it was really cool that people were going such great lengths to try to deceive each other and to form teams and stuff. Like, that's really it. Like, I just thought it was cool.
That's awesome. So you knew the atomic detonator was fake the whole time, and you just let us fall for it,
Well,
hook, line, and sinker.
yeah, yeah. Pretty much. I was about to say like, well, it might not be fake, but yeah, it's fake. It's fake for sure.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was cool behind the scenes to see, like, knowing how the game ends and everything. It was cool to see you guys trying to figure out if the atomic detonator was real and how you guys like used that to try to solve the puzzle in other ways and like using its meaning
Yeah.
to like derive incorrect conclusions. It was really interesting.
It was, and honestly, like we were on a struggle bus a little bit. We probably would not have found the actual solution to the clue without happenstance. At least not nearly that fast.
Yeah, that's the craziest thing to me was that you guys accidentally went to the
I
right spot.
know. Because of like happenstance, we were being trolled, and the troll accidentally led us by a sheer like we've told the story before, but basically Bramberley had this insane idea of like where the clue was, and no one thought it was true. And then we went there, and it was there, and it made absolutely no sense. But then like it confirmed like because we went to where happenstance was, and we found something that like confirmed to us that like the atomic detonator was real for a period of time. It
Well,
was weird.
Yeah.
It was.
Well, it made me more suspect that it wasn't real because we got to that location first.
That's true.
I had no.
Yeah.
That's where I started really doubting it. Like once we got to a location that wasn't previously discovered, like it just didn't add up anymore, like at all.
Oh, because of the XP bonus.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was a trippy time to be part of the Travelers, but it was a lot of fun. I just someday that's one of the mysteries I want to solve at some point in the Travelers. Figure out exactly what was going on behind the scenes for Happenstance. So Happenstance, whoever you are, whatever you are, hit us up. We'd love to interview you, the real you, if that wasn't the real you, and just kind of, tell your story. That would be a lot of fun to do.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I guess for the next topic, we can have torogadude kind of talk about it because he's the one that actually made it. The most recent Travelers update.
Oh yeah, that.
I forget what all was added. I know there was some changes with the teleporters, but if you want to go into the reasoning and balance behind that, you can go ahead.
Yeah, so I thought the whole like filling your base with signs in order to stop people from teleporting in was a really bad mechanic. So I figured instead of making teleporters like a big secret thing, we'll instead make them like a mid-level item, so that it's more of a movement option instead of like a teleport into the base option. And then also introduce at level 20 a tower that stops you from being able to teleport within a certain range, so that there's like counterplay. And there's also a little bit of like a smaller sort of meta game where like where you have to make sure all the little points of your base are covered by your disruptors, and like an attacker would like be trying to find a hole in the base. Like if the base is weirdly shaped or something, there might be like one spot you can teleport to. So like I figured that would be an interesting way to fix a couple problems at once without going too deep into the meta of building, because the meta of building isn't that good in the first place. So the game's not really about building, so it's pretty bare bones. But people do like building bases, so I wanted to
Yeah. And not having to like walk across a bunch of holes to get to the other side of your base is pretty nice to have too.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that whenever I like saw someone's base like posted and it was just filled with holes or signs or dead bodies or something, I was like, man, this just does not look like good gameplay. This is not good gameplay design. So figured that would be a good improvement.
I did like our solution with filling it up with dead bodies to save on resources, though. That was
okay.
Yeah, you guys are very creative, I have to say.
But I do agree for building bases, it makes sense, and it's also
Yeah.
just gonna save time, not exiting out of holes constantly.
Yeah. The update was originally to try to take down the wall that was around like the uranium spot, but you guys successfully convinced me that it was unnecessary and that the update should still the update is still good for the building
Yeah.
meta, but it wasn't entirely necessary for nerfing the uranium since it's an endgame spot
Yeah.
anyway. So.
Yeah.
I do think that it's a good. I am against nerfing walls, as you are aware, but I do think that it is a good update to not have to spam signs everywhere.
Yeah.
That was a very long discussion we had in the
Yeah.
Discord about that. I remember that.
Oh boy.
I do still kind of disagree, but like, if I don't like to consider myself as outweighing everyone's opinion just because I think it and I'm the maker of the game. So like, if I'm outweighed in an opinion, then I'll go with that direction for the game because, and especially because I don't really play this game as much as you guys do. Um, which I guess is weird as the creator of a game, but it's also like an idle game, so like you have to put a lot of time into it. I've talked about it before. It's weird that the Travelers isn't a game that the type of game that I like to play, but it was a story and a type of game that I really wanted to tell and to make. But like since I don't really play the game, your guys' opinion is probably more valuable than mine anyway. So since you guys all had really good points and I was clearly outnumbered. I don't think there was a single person who agreed with me. I was like, well, fine. We just won't do it then because you guys probably know better than me. So
I really respect that attitude too. I think that's a good thing.
I mean, I just hate when developers of other games don't do that. So I want to be the change that you wish to see in the world.
The good dev torogadude. But I don't know. Wall politics are always going to be the most contentious issue in the Travelers. I think.
Yeah.
Oh,
Wall
gosh.
politics have always been fun.
Oh boy.
They almost get as contentious as real politics.
Actual wars are fought over wall politics, so I mean, maybe it's on the same level.
Exactly.
Do we want to touch on the 3-hour discussion that Toro and Lightning had about? Sorry, maybe calling
no,
it a discussion
don't.
isn't exactly.
That wasn't a discussion. That was like bullying a kindergartner
Oh,
for 3 hours.
I just got more
I
and more
forget the
sad.
aspects. What was the? I barely paid attention to it. What was the kind of the bounds of the argument?
Yeah, Lightning and I made a deal that if his base had like secret items, then I would give him something, or I don't remember exactly what he wanted.
It was like free account numbers.
Oh yeah. He wanted like capture disabled for his account so he could log in like as many bots as he wanted and stuff. So obviously I was not okay with that. So I make that deal because like I know there's going to be nothing at his base. So I go there and whoop-de-doo, there's nothing there. But he tries to argue that by having like 700 rope at his base or something, he is secretly having items that could be game breaking altogether. So that string of semantics was the basis of his argument, and I was just saying no. I'm not having it. And it turned into a 3-hour long debate of sorts. But it was just funny. It was just a Discord thing.
So you want to? Can I? I'm gonna. I'm sorry, Lightning, if you listen to this. I just think it's funny. So behind the scenes, he was kind of telling me his strategy. He's just saying that like he told me that there's nothing special besides 700 rope, but he's wanted to see what he could force torogadude to give him. So he was baiting you. I'm sorry, torogadude. He was baiting you the whole time.
It was fun. It was mostly in fun. If he was like actually trolling, then I probably wouldn't have had a complete discussion like that. I knew it was for fun. So
we did actually get 2 name drops from that conversation though, which I don't know if we want to discuss. Do you want to discuss that now? Actually, might as well.
I mean, what's there to discuss?
Auto killers and lawnmowers were 2 things that were name dropped during that discussion.
Yeah, they're just secret dev items. Like,
so we have confirmation.
They don't influence the game. They don't do anything. They were there for me to test, and I never removed it. Well, I didn't check if I removed auto killer from the code. I don't remember because it's been a very, very long time. But it was for combat, so I could test combat rounds ending without having to like battle and alt for 5 minutes or however long it takes. So
what are there any more like admin items that are not?
No, it's just the auto
yet?
breaker. Auto breaker is
Okay.
the only, unless I didn't delete auto killer. Auto breaker is the only one.
Okay, and then I guess we'll wait a bit, but I do want to maybe pressure you about the lawnmower question a bit later, but we'll get into that.
Sure.
Before we do that, though, I want to talk about the Travelers Plus. I am very excited about this.
I am too, honestly.
Right now, it's just really Lightning that's been developing it, but I'm gonna get in there too, and kind of we're basically reverse engineering the Travelers and gonna make our own little back end for it, and I think it's really gonna be interesting because, like in the Travelers, the current meta is to kind of like AFK and get experience, and like then there's also like base building and things like that you can do. Like there's still a lot of things you can do in the Travelers, but the main puzzle kind of thing was just already completed. So I think that adding more features that kind of take the gameplay in a bit of a like more maybe away from the, or maybe it'll expand the puzzle, but kind of towards more features that can be used independently of the puzzle existing, I think could be really interesting to see and mess around with. Or like maybe a server that like has a much smaller world, so you have to build a base to protect your stuff, and then you're gonna run into other bases frequently. And I don't know. I'm really excited about how the Travelers Plus can go.
I'm honestly excited for it too. I'm excited to see what you guys can do with the concepts to make it better. Um, for me, like the Travelers is more about the story. I'm really proud of the story of the Travelers, but now that I'm a more experienced game developer with working on these other games and having been programming for a while now, I don't think like I'm not the most proud of the gameplay design of the Travelers. It was my first complete game pretty much, so there's a lot that could be done better. There's a lot that I think is flawed about the game, and I'm excited for you guys to try to consider those flaws and make something better out of it. I'm excited to see what you can come up with.
I agree with that. And I think there are a lot of flaws with the Travelers, but there's also like there's a lot of things that the Travelers does that I really haven't seen other places, and I think are really cool. Like how events are done and how it's like you have kind of immersive text kind of sprawled around like an actual like gamified 2D world. There's a lot of cool things that I think could be expanded upon. I think really the Travelers are just like a really good. There's a lot of potential there. I think for expansion.
Yeah, I think
So
the idea has a ton of potential. I think it can be taken so much further than I took it.
yeah, and in so many different directions too, which is why I think like we can have a different server for each kind of direction we want to take it. So we could have like a PvP direction or a building direction or a story direction, and you can like each server owner or whatever, like, whatever gets players will be popular, but you can kind of pick what plugins you want to install and like your ideal Travelers experience, and then the most popular ones will have players. I don't know. I think if the Travelers is going to like grow like further, I think that the Travelers Plus is a very important aspect, like an important pillar of that if it's going to get any more players, which I don't know if it will or not, but either way, it'll be fun to develop and see what we can do with it.
Yeah, I haven't tried any of it yet, but I'm definitely looking forward to it once it's a little less bare bones.
Yeah, right now the first step is kind of just, I think we're kind of doing it. The first step is to basically recreate the Travelers except for the puzzle, and then I think the puzzle is going to be a separate plugin, so you can have it optional in the game if you want the puzzle or not. And then from there, like once we start actually adding new content, I think that's where it's going to be really interesting. Right now, it's kind of just like we're making the framework that everything else is going to be really built upon. But I think it's going to be really cool.
I'm envisioning stuff like, Redstone plugins coming in. You have like puzzle servers. You have to like solve different. Maybe this will be like dungeons or whatever. You have to crawl.
That'd be really cool.
Yeah, that'd be really, really neat.
What I want to do, I've got this idea for like, I don't know how easy this would be, but like the Travelers has like a day-night cycle kind of. If that could be made longer, kind of like old school Minecraft's day-night cycle, then maybe that would be a good thing for building. Like you have to build a structure so that like, maybe zombies come out at night, like Z characters, and they will chase your Traveler around slowly. You got to double step to get away from them. But then if you're in a structure, you'll be okay.
Yeah, I think when if one of those plugins like reduces the tick rate a lot down to like something more like a real game, like 20 ticks per second or 10 ticks per second or something. I definitely think the Travelers has a ton of potential for PvE.
Yeah,
it'll be really cool to see stuff like if there's a reformed combat system and higher tick rate, then I think PvE will be really, really cool.
I agree with that.
It didn't fit in the original game because of the story and because of the low tick rate, but It would be really cool to see people being creative with stuff like that in the Travelers Plus.
Super, you've got me like thinking now that there'll just be a Minecraft server where there's got like a custom plugin or something. You'll load up like I don't know who made it. I think it might have been Coherent. Like the Minecraft texture pack and load up.
Oh,
You're just
yeah.
playing like Minecraft but in the Travelers.
Oh, that would be like you add all the different blocks and like mining
Yeah,
and
exactly.
stuff. That would be sick. Traveler's Craft. But I really want to make it. I want to try to make it as accessible to make stuff for as possible. So like, I think like for me, I learned a lot about like making those old bots for the Travelers. Like, it's a really fun game to bot because of how simple it is, and I think it's going to be a really fun game to mod because of how simple it is. So if we can make that accessible, I think that it could really be like a really good grounds for building all sorts of crazy stuff on top of, like a platform almost.
I agree. It has my blessing.
I really appreciate that, because not gonna lie, I wasn't going to ask you for your blessing in case you said no. I was just gonna be like, okay, if we put work into it, he's just gonna like maybe ignore it. But I'm glad we have your blessing, because then I don't have to worry about that.
Yeah, you should know me by now. You should know I'd say yes to something like that. I think stuff like this is super cool. There's nothing cooler than seeing like an idea that you've come up with get expanded by, like to see, like other people liking it enough to want to expand it and grow it into different things. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not super like clutchy about my ideas like other people can be. I think it's really cool to see people doing stuff like that. So,
Well,
absolutely.
I really appreciate that, because I think we're gonna, with your permission, that we're gonna be really able to make a lot of cool stuff with it.
I hope so too.
Our next topic is, I forget what we meant by this, but it says Travelers Media Push. Do you guys remember what that meant?
I think that was just referring to us making more Travelers content, hopefully.
Okay.
And, like the shorts and the...
Oh yeah, I don't know about you guys, but I'm down. I've got a few ideas of some videos and things I want to make. I know Lightning's going ham. He just released a Travelers video today, which we might talk about in a bit, but I'm excited to make some Travelers content. I think it's interesting with the puzzle being over, like making Travelers content, because you got old puzzle stuff that we could talk about, but I'm gonna look into some new kind of formulas for Travelers content that I've got a few ideas that I don't know if they're gonna work or not, but I'm excited to make some content for it, and maybe some shorts too, to try to get some new players.
Yeah, I think if we're looking to expand through media, shorts is probably the way to go, just because the algorithm is insane right now. So
That's true.
Yeah,
the
shorts get so many views.
You can pretty easily get 100 views with a short. The only thing, it's the downside is like there might be low, like if someone watches a short, they might not then like stop doing that to then, like I feel like if you watch a video, you're more likely to be like, oh, that's cool, I'm now gonna try that out. If you're watching a short, I feel like you might be like, oh, that's cool, and then you'll watch the next short. So there might be like less transferability, but then like you're gonna have so many more views that it might not matter. It might make up for that. I think trying to make shorts that like turn views into players would be, if that's at all possible, that would be really good for the Travelers. Our next topic, which we kind of touched on earlier, but lawnmowers are officially in the Travelers. Torogadude.
Definitely.
Any
Yeah.
statement
Definitely.
you want to make about that?
No.
I see. Okay.
But they are confirmed.
Sure.
All right, folk, take that as you will.
Alrighty. Hey, Torogadude, if you want to, admin panel a few things onto my account, I won't say anything. We can cut this out of the podcast. It'll be fine.
If I wanted to, I
Wink,
would.
wink, nudge, nudge. Darn it. Killing me, Torogadude. Okay. Speaking of our boy Torogadude, we've actually just doxed him. We've discovered that his real name is Brad Brown, the Christian magician. So who discovered this? I forget.
It was Ace Dog.
I guess they reverse image searched Torogadude's profile picture that he's used like since his YouTube days as his main online identity. And it's a photoshopped version of a magician named Brad Brown that has like, I don't know. We'll put a picture of him up on screen. It's a bit wacky.
It is really weird seeing the original version of the Photoshop
It's
Cyclops
so
picture.
weird. I
I'm
always
so
thought,
used to seeing this is the normal to me. So when I see a guy
I
with two
know.
eyes in that picture, it's just weird.
It is so jarring. Okay, here's the thing too. So I always thought that that your profile picture was like your yearbook photo that you edited to be a Cyclops.
So many people think that.
Like from like the nose down, it kind of looks like you, especially if like you don't look at it too closely. So it's just like I always thought that was you. So seeing like a very different looking person is like very weird to see. But it's crazy to see the source material for the torogadude image.
Yeah, that was a wild night in the Travelers VC.
That was unexpected. I did not expect that to happen at all. But
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah,
don't
we
think
looked up his social media. He seems like a pretty swell guy, but yeah,
His Twitter's
he's our
popping
man.
off every day.
Yeah.
How often does he tweet?
He tweets like every other day at least, and it's always like something really corny. And he talks as though he has like a giant audience, and like no one ever likes him.
I'm gonna follow Brad Brown after this.
Do it,
Well,
dude. I
to
like
be
his
fair,
tweets.
right? He's a magician, right? So during COVID, you're kind of out of luck, I guess. But
That's
Yeah.
true.
it's a
Unless you
shame.
do Zoom shows, but that's a bit. I don't know if Zoom. I feel like no one would get a Zoom magician. I don't know. I feel like it's not as magical when it's not in person.
If he has a public Zoom show, I'm going to it.
We will all go to the public. If Brad Brown, if you're watching this, we will all go to your Zoom show if you start one.
Yep, I definitely will.
Someone's got to like take a timestamp of like this point in the video where we're talking about his name and send it to him, so that he's just like, why are these random people online like having a big discussion?
I wonder if he's aware of the Travelers or Torogadude at all, or like
I don't think
if
he is.
has he ever like you were like a semi-popular YouTuber. Like I wonder if anyone like saw Torogadude and was like, yo, that's my friend Brad Brown.
I don't think so, but that'd be funny.
I want him to know that we exist at some point. I don't like take this to go spam him, but
Yeah, like don't
inform him.
harass him, please.
Don't harass him, but I would like for him to know that if we could get him to join the Travelers Discord, my life would be complete. That's the new goal. But don't harass him. He can do it. He'll discover it when we do he'll watch a short and he'll be like, darn, this Travelers game is pretty cool. I'll join it. It'd be hilarious if his profile picture was like the actual Torogadude. Like, we gotta give him the dev role if he does that.
Oh yeah.
But anyway, I guess I'll be the topic introducer today. We want to talk to you, Torogadude, about, you mentioned some remaining secrets in the travelers.online that we have not
there's a
found
few.
yet. How many? Do we get an integer or decimal or of how many secrets there are?
Maybe a long.
Maybe you'll.
I'll give you an unsigned short.
Okay.
Yes, please.
I shouldn't say, but
Well,
Well, you
it's
should
not
have
a
said
lot.
you were going to give us an unsigned short.
It's not a lot.
Okay.
Um,
What are they kind of just like,
it's like a couple
obscure-
just like hidden in the world, like not super random, so like no one will ever find them, like in the middle of nowhere. But like, there's just a couple hidden things that like people will eventually happen on and be like, oh, there's like still some content in the game, and then that'll
Is
be
it like
that'll be the
lore
last secret.
content?
Not particularly, like a tiny bit. Like it's interesting from a lore perspective, but it's nothing like groundbreaking. Everything groundbreaking was at like the end of the puzzle. So
Is it kind of like in the same category that the trapdoor is?
yeah, sort of, yeah.
Okay.
But dramatically more rare. The trapdoor was like meant to be discovered, whereas these were like things I just felt like putting in because I wanted to see if someone would just to like artificially increase the longevity of the game by like sometime a long time from now someone will come back in the Travelers Discord or something and have a discussion about it and be like, oh cool, people are still playing this or something.
That'll be really cool.
Out of curiosity, can you tell when someone has reached like one of these locations? Do you like know if someone like accidentally like walked over it or something? Like would you be able to tell if someone has reached one of the secret locations? Like
Well, in
without
terms of like a secret like event that needs to be visited, I could always like search the database and see if like the is visited flag is true on the event. But
okay, yeah.
um, other than that, not really. I don't. I didn't make a lot of admin tools for this game. That's something that I definitely intend to do for the next one is make a lot of admin tools.
So I might be jumping the gun a bit here, but just regarding secrets, we were always very like convinced that at some point we're going to be like going across the border or whatever, the huge mountain that surrounds the
Yeah.
entire world.
Um.
So yeah, can I ask like because we were convinced for a time that like at some point in the puzzle that was going to be involved, and like
Yeah.
do you want to explain like because I still don't understand like even considering all the lore like why that's there exactly because this is supposed to be like post-apocalyptic Earth, right?
We're going full spoilers now, by
Okay,
the way.
full spoilers, guys.
Um,
Oh yeah.
it's like the aliens came and they like blocked off a region of the earth or something and then raised a bunch of people from the dead so that they could all do their experiment. Um, and they like didn't. The way I personally see it is, it's as though they were like they wanted to keep them in a specific range so like they could study them closer or something like that. Like rather than letting them go like infinitely out, which again this is beyond the bounds of the earth anyway, so that could also be a lore thing on its own. Um, what am I saying? It could be. I'm word of God here. It is on Earth. The reason it's bigger is because of gameplay reasons, but they blocked off a section of the Earth for the travelers to explore because the Earth is just a massive planet. So they blocked off a smaller region of it for the travelers to explore.
Okay.
And that's the meaning of the wall, and further why you can't get past the wall. And it was never intended that you could get past the wall. I did have ideas later on of, you know, some kind of mechanic or secret way to get past the wall. Someone had a really interesting idea at one point where, like, if you get the high range teleporter and you go right up to the wall, you could teleport
Yeah.
past it if it was only like 1,000 wide or something like that. But unfortunately, lore for me takes precedent over cool things in this game, and so that's why stuff like um,
Man.
yeah, so that's why stuff like that didn't really happen. Or PVE would be really cool, like I was saying earlier, but like that it didn't happen in this game because it's the world's supposed to be like totally dead. So
Yeah.
yeah, it could be cool. It would be cool for sure, but um, decided not to do it. So there you go.
So sad. Oh
So
well, I
sad.
think my headcanon is that like, the world's a sphere, right? So the wall is actually just like the other side of the monument that like is because if you go to the end of like if you go across the entire world, you'll find like the other like if the monument's poking through the entire earth, then if you go in one direction from the monument, eventually you'll hit the other side. But then like it's 2D, so it's just the other side
Yeah.
is everywhere.
One
So
thing that's definitely a thing I really wish. A thing that I really wish I did before the puzzle came out was just committing to lowering the TPS. Like if I lowered the TPS a ton and then made the world structured in meters instead of kilometers, then we could have done so many cool things. Combat could have been more freeform because you can move fairly quickly across the screen. Interactions can be more freeform because you don't have to stand in the same spot. Like 15 meters or however big it
yeah,
would be, because the screen would probably be bigger if it was only 15 meters. It'd be like a reasonable enough distance to shout at people from or to notice people from. Um, Buildings and stuff could be more freeform, so like you could physically enter a building that's like been designed, and that's another
yeah,
thing where it's like if I made an admin panel that I could have made a tool that where I could have built entire dungeons and stuff and made them like naturally generate like what are they called, like the nether things. What are the
nether
castle things in the nether called? I
fortresses.
don't remember
The
what they're called.
bastions.
Say that again.
They're called bastions.
They're called bastions, like the
No,
net, like
no,
the
Or the nether fortresses. He
nether
probably isn't
fortress.
caught
That's
up
it. Why
with
couldn't I remember
Oh,
the
new
word for it?
Minecraft.
oh, okay. Because there's technically right. There's technically two. I guess you haven't played Minecraft for
Oh,
like
there's two now.
3 years.
Yeah, I haven't. I
Yeah.
haven't been following
Okay,
updates
fair.
very well.
I wasn't sure because they could both technically be considered randomly generated. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like a pre-built thing that pops up in the world when you like enter a certain range of it. So like I could have done stuff like that. I could have made like a ton of natural dungeons and stuff with like mini events for like finding, backpack. Like there's so much potential for the idea of the travelers that was underutilized by me. So like that's a thing I think the Travelers Plus would be really cool to do too. Would be to just commit to taking it from kilometers to meters. And the reason I was originally saying this was, the Earth is 40,000 kilometers, and what?
It's the Earth is a very big Earth in the Travelers.
Yeah, well, in real life, the Earth is 40,000 kilometers circumference. And that in the original like alpha build of the game, it was 40,000 kilometers long, 40,000 tiles. It was
Yeah,
20,000 in every direction. So something I could have done was just been like, okay, instead of kilometers, the world is in meters. We enable all these cooler things, and then the world is 40 million meters. So it would be 20 million tiles in every direction. And then the world becomes vastly larger. So you still get the idle traveling aspect of it by things being very
yeah.
far apart, but there's more potential for things to do. And this is just something that like I'm thinking of because I'm a more experienced game designer now, so I can come up with ideas like this and be like, man, it would be really cool if this game did that. So it would be cool if the Travelers did that for sure. I hope the Travelers Plus can achieve something like that.
We'll look into some different things and see what
Yeah.
we can. Well, I think it'll be a lot of experimenting to see what works.
Yeah, but if I had done something like that, then I wouldn't have to have this hand wave of like, why is the world 500,000 or a million kilometers square? It's because the game needed it to be. I could have actually made it a lore thing where it was 40 million meters in every direction, and it's like, yeah, it's the actual region for like the Earth's distance, and I could have even made a loop or something. Once you hit one edge, you loop around to the
Oh
other. And
yeah,
it's
Pac-Man style. Then you don't
actually a
even need a
sphere.
wall.
Yeah, it would be cool, but what's done is done.
Oh well.
Oh well.
We'll fix it. We'll make a Bomb Travelers Plus mod. It'll be great.
Yeah, do it, dude.
Just a few questions I want to ask about remaining secrets before we move on to the next topic.
Sure.
Like, so are they going to be like events in the game, or are they going to be like kind of mechanic things that are
At least one of them is an event,
at least one of them? Okay,
which means at least
darn.
one of them is not an event. So you have two confirmed.
Okay, well, there's two confirmed at least. Oh my god, you're killing us, dude. So we know one is an event and one isn't an event. Any hints on what the not event could possibly be, or are we still lost there?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, you're still lost there. It's not something that you can probably just think of and do. It's something
Okay.
that I expect a new player will like make it somewhere down the line. A new player will make like a connection between a couple different aspects of the puzzle and like try one thing with another thing, and then naturally happen into it. It's not something you can grind out like a bot would. So
Okay. Sorry, Lightning.
yeah, yeah,
Oh, so wait,
exactly.
confirmed. We gotta look at the puzzle. Okay. Thank you, Torogadude.
You're welcome. So yeah, there's your hint. There's two of them. One's an event. One's not an event. And
Wait,
at
there are
least
two of them, like confirmed, or at least two of them.
um there are greater than or equal to two.
Okay. We're getting a lot of information this podcast. Let's go.
Yeah.
One more question.
Okay.
Is there any way inside of the secret room in City 2?
No, there's not. There's nothing in there.
No.
What? There's okay. Is what was the lore reason? Because like there's a whole like there's a panel that looks like it was
The
like
lore
added
reason
there.
the lore reason is that death is a bad mechanic, and there needed to be a reason for you to make a choice between the obvious you need to survive or the non-obvious. Maybe there's something in there, but you should make the choice to live.
Okay.
But death is a bad mechanic. That's a poorly written section of that city. Sorry to anyone who's died there.
I think all of us have died there at some point.
Well,
which is
Tor, you
fun.
could have rectified it by adding in scuba gear and then just make
That's
it a.
true.
Yeah, you're right, dude. And then make the oceans explorable. We could have like
Exactly.
a second level. Once you enter the ocean, it like becomes a different map because we've
Yeah.
got all these ocean items. Dude, that's going to be the Travelers 2.0 update.
Let's do it. Oh,
There
travel.
you go.
Okay, well, if you were to, put yourself in lore mode, maybe there's no way for us to go there, but what is the, because like, I think it says that there's like a panel that was like added or something. I forget the exact text.
A
What
panel
lore
is added?
wasn't
It
like,
just
in order
says
to
there's a door. It just says like when you pull the lever, like it breaks a valve somewhere, so a bunch of water comes flooding in. And
okay.
it's like, oh, the water's flooding in through this like hole. Maybe there's something in that hole. if I remember
So
right. Or maybe
it's
it was a doorway. Either
I
way,
think
there's
it was a
nothing in there. It's
doorway.
just an empty room.
Oh, wow, you could have been like, that's where the lawnmower is, guys. You'll never get it.
Okay, there's a lawnmower in there.
All right, confirmed. Lore confirmed. That's where the lawnmower is in the thetravelers.online. Thank you,
As God,
torogadude.
I've decided there's a lawnmower in that room. You just can't get to it
Oh
because
god.
I treat my creation as a sick joke.
It's like the friggin' ice key from Banjo Kazooie. It's like where you can see it and it's like 5 meters away from you, but you can't access it. There's like a wall and there's nothing you can do.
That's gonna be like the new, like, you remember the legend of like how you could get Mew under the truck in
Oh
Pokemon
yeah.
Red. It's gonna be like, you got to do this, this, and this to get to the lawnmower room in the Travelers. Come on, all the urban legends got to start now, guys. Make up the. I saw Hero Brian in the flooded room of the Travelers.
Yeah, except this isn't like some goofy 3D engine where you'll always be able to find some kind of bug. It's just a single button you can click. It's exploit proof. It's famous last words.
It's exploit proof
lightning
until
road.
Lightning WB is gonna find a way to actually get lawnmowers from
If
there.
anyone will find a way, it'll be him.
It will. All right, now this is the part that I'm really interested in. And you kind of mentioned that you wanted to talk about this. You can kind of lead the conversation, but what are some of the themes of the game, or kind of just basically talk as much you want about the lore of the Travelers, or anything interesting you have to say.
Okay. Oh man, where do I start?
Sorry to put you on the spot there, but
I think I told you guys before. I had the idea with my fiance, or then girlfriend, I guess, a long time ago.
yeah,
We were on a car drive, and we had the idea for. We hadn't. I actually just saw Children of Men recently. I hadn't seen it at the time, so I didn't realize it was an idea that was already like had something made out of it. And also, Children of Men is very different. But I had the idea for like a virus that makes people infertile. Like it'll, and the specifics of that in the one USB document, I think, in the Travelers. Oh no! It was the final. It was like the maximum security pass document in this
yeah,
in the Department of Secrets. Um, is that it eats the ovary cells, or it eats the egg cells in like a female's ovaries. Um, so that basically renders all of humanity infertile because it's a highly spreading, highly contagious virus with like an extremely long incubation period, and because the symptoms are so light and mild, like you wouldn't notice it until you're like trying to have kids, and then you can't. And even then, you don't think that it's like a virus or something crazy. Like it takes a long time to notice something like that. So that's like that would be the perfect virus to end humanity, basically. So that was the idea that we had, and I said to her, like, at some point I want to put this in a story. I don't know when or for what, but I think it would be a cool basis for like an apocalypse story if I were to come up with one. So about like a year later or so, I had just finished up Mafia Manager, and I wanted to make a game. I wanted to make my own original game. And I wanted it to be a text-based adventure game so that I could make a game for the first time without having to worry too much about graphics and stuff. I just wanted to tell a story with just raw storytelling, writing, and stuff. So I started just brainstorming. Like I didn't even have the idea for the aliens or the travelers or anything yet. I just started brainstorming like what could make an interesting game about walking around in an MMO. What could make that interesting? And then and then I had the idea for like the 5 second cycle, which is like, it takes 5 seconds to move one step, which later got reduced to three. And then in its final form, it was 1 second. But the original idea was 5 seconds per step. So it was really an idle game in a small world. And the idea just expanded from there. So I had the idea for, you travel. So you're the travelers, right? And you have, like, your goal is to travel and to explore. But why? Where can we go with this? I didn't want it to be. So eventually I realized it would be easiest to just be like, it's just a dead world, right? So there's like ash overhead or something, and the world is just empty, and it's just you and the other travelers walking around. But, and so, and the way I write stories is by naturally exploring these questions. So like, again, what comes up is why? Why are you here and not, normal people? What happens to the normal people? So I said, okay, well, there's an apocalypse. For some reason you're back, but there was an apocalypse, and let's go back to that idea we thought of. Let's use the infertility virus. So the entire backstory will be the government deciding to create this infertility virus, trying to use it on people, and then trying to license out, rights for giving birth in order to curb the overpopulation and the politics that come with that. I tried to touch on politics related to overpopulation a little bit, to like have a bunch of characters' opinions on that influencing the direction of the apocalypse in the all the government docs and the Department of Secrets. But so from there, I said, okay, so now, okay, so we've got like the whole backstory. Why is this happening, and what can we do from here? And I've always wanted to make like a internet puzzle, like Cicada 3301 is like the big famous one. I'm fascinated by stuff like that. Notpron.org is also amazing. Like that puzzle has like 33 people have solved it, and like 20 million have visited the website. Like it's an insane ratio of people who have solved it to who haven't. Insanely small. So I've always wanted to do something like that, and from there, like the ideas all started coming naturally together, to the point of you were raised by the dead from aliens to travel around the world and solve this puzzle. And then again, the natural question from there is why? Why are you solving a puzzle? What could an alien possibly need from dead humans? And this is, I think, the core theme of the game and what I really wanted to do with the community. This is the point where I realized this was going to be something that really needed to have a strong sense of community while also making the world as hostile as possible. Because what I wanted to, the idea I came up with was that I didn't want this to just be another, the aliens are good and the humans are bad because humans have flaws trope. Like that's a really common trope in, alien stories in like any medium, like mostly movies, I guess. But I wanted to explore the idea of why aliens would not be would not like have the flaws that humans do. What would make aliens better than humans? And I came to this idea of how evolution works, right? So like the theory of evolution, and how self-preservation is like the core trait that all living things have on Earth, and by extension, how self-preservation creates the priority of self, to the point that you take away from others in order to survive. And that's not just a human thing. Like you can see that in every living thing that like except for plants, I guess. Like and even plants, there's like Venus
Yeah,
flytraps.
plants, if you like, they'll grow taller and like
Like
take
animals
over
eat
roots and stuff.
animals eat other animals. There's like Venus flytraps that eat flies. There's everything is about like consuming life and power from something else. That's like the entire meaning and baseline of how life works on Earth. So, and when you take that extension to its fullest form with the intelligence that humans have, it becomes the delight and torture that humans tends to have. Where when humans have power, they like to hurt other people and control other people and make other people do what they want. And most people have empathy, but it's a trait of humans that has evolved from animals, that has evolved from the entire theory of that's just the idea of the theory of evolution, is that self-preservation necessitates taking away from other things. So if that's how life on Earth works, then if there's going to be an entire other alien form that has evolved, then they don't necessarily work in the exact same way. So the entire lore of the aliens' existence is that their form of evolution was not through self-preservation and through destroying each other in order to consume each other's energy. Their entire evolution was through cooperation and community, all of like the nice things that humans would like to have because we're intelligent enough to know those things are better, but just naturally aren't built that way. So aliens were cooperative, they communed, they worked together, they, in like the ending screen, they said, we didn't even have a concept of murder. If you had just asked, we would have given our surplus. Like they don't even think that way. That's not an actual thing that they even understand in the first place. So their entire basis of reality works entirely different from humans. And I think that's a good concept to explore for aliens, because then we can get to the other side of the story where we say, okay, well, what are these aliens missing by not having self-preservation? And then that's what the climax of the ending of the game says. The aliens say, we were dying. We couldn't figure out how to stop ourselves from dying. We were losing. We did not have the raw desperation to survive that humans have. So the aliens basically have some concept of something that is killing them over time. And in discovering humanity, they knew that we had flaws, but they further knew that our desperation to survive, though it didn't commonly lead to evil, it also meant that we had the ability to overcome any obstacle, basically. So, and that's a theme that's actually a trope that's in a lot of movies where like humans. I think the one that first comes to mind is Interstellar, where they have to send humans up into space with machines because even though machines have raw calculating ability, they'll just give up if their calculations say that things are over, whereas humans will become incredibly creative in the face of oppression and come up with every last idea they possibly can before dying or saving themselves. That was one of the best scenes in Interstellar, was the No Time for Caution scene. So all of these concepts came together to say this game needs to be a game about hostility and fear and a dead world, but where all the players in communing together can demonstrate the ability to solve the puzzle that the aliens created and can further create a community and be together to prove that humanity can become something better. That's like the core theme of the game, is that though self-preservation commonly leads to evil, it can also lead to the most unique form of community, that where everyone wants to better themselves all together and creates a more beautiful thing. And even though the aliens were these idealistic and perfect beings that don't have all the flaws that humanity has, they also can't solve their problems as efficiently as humans can. Even though they're able to advance more because they don't kill each other, they still had a limit that humans don't have. And that's why they sought humans out. That's why they put the puzzle down to test that the people that they raised from the dead still had that raw survival aspect that humans do. And then when they proved it, they took their minds and they went.
I really, really like that
Dang.
because it kind of ties back into the whole theme of the real story of the game being organically formed by the people playing it. So I really love how that ties back into
Yeah.
everything.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The whole gameplay. Like I wanted, as flawed as the gameplay design is, I'm really happy that the gameplay design emphasizes the hidden theme of the game the way that it does. Like the community that you guys have formed through all the different things that you can do in the game has like has made me happy simply because it fulfills that theme, because it is in its own way part of the lore and part of the story, and I think that's beautiful.
That's really awesome. That's really well put together, torogadude. I'm glad. Jeez, I'm gonna have to listen back to this and process it all, but that's cool. Poggers. I don't know what to say. That's awesome.
That's like the summary for the giant like novel length note in my phone from when I like spilled all my ideas down, a year and a half ago when I first made this game. First started
Oh,
making it.
Could you release that at some point? Do you think?
I'll read through it and make sure there's no like spoilers for like the couple of secrets that are still left.
Yeah,
I think it would be cool for you guys to see like my first ideas and then the progression of ideas. And
that would
still
be
like,
really interesting to see.
maybe I'll put
This
it up.
isn't on the list at all, but this kind of just cropped up now. Do you want to talk more about your writing process, Taro? Because at this point, you've published like a very text-heavy game. You published a full novel. Do you want to talk more about how you write in general? Because I'm curious.
I think The Travelers is great because it's the most recent thing that I've written. The most like before The Travelers, the most recent thing that I wrote was the Scenario Project, which isn't a great book. It's an interesting story, but I don't think it's like the best because I started writing the story when I was 15, and all the ideas that come with that were ideas that like were my first experience writing a full length novel and committing to writing a full length novel. So The Travelers was really great for me because I could take a step back and be like, okay, from scratch with my current skill as a writer, I'm going to create a complete story and make it as good as I possibly can with my skill right now. So whereas the Scenario Project, since I wrote it when I was 15, I didn't really have all these ideas and understandings about writing that I do now. The Scenario Project has a lot of flaws, and the main way that it was written was basically how every writer writes, where they have a couple ideas for cool scenes, and they have an overarching theme, and they have a motif. So they write the story to fill in all of those blanks, which is fine. A lot of stories do that really well, but a symptom of that is that a lot of stories have things that are contrived, where you're like, why did this character do this thing? Because the author has to make the character do the thing to drive the plot. But so many times when you're watching a movie, you can just take a step back and be like, why did they say that? Why did they think that? Why did they make that choice? That's not a logical choice to make. And not even logical. Like, people make mistakes. People think the wrong things, like, in the heat of the moment. But, like, there's just simple things, like simple conversations that people have in stories all the time where people just don't act naturally because they have to guide a plot. The most common one that annoys people is, like, when, like, two main characters are arguing about something and neither of them can communicate clearly, like, what the problem is so that they can solve it. And it's, like, a really simple problem, but neither of them will just, like, make clear what it is so that they can, like, solve it, because the plot requires them to be apart for some period of time. So the scenario project has that flaw. But over the years, as I've become a better writer with writing, like, short stories and just learning about writing and reading a lot of stuff, I've realized that the way that I really want to write is to come up with ideas and then have natural progressions come out of those ideas, like to ask questions about what the story is and then create natural answers to those questions. So that's sort of what I was doing earlier when I was explaining how I thought of the Travelers. I was like, okay, so we have people walking around the world, an empty world. Why is the world empty? Okay, we can put in the infertility virus. Why are people alive if everyone died? Okay, so we'll bring aliens in. Why do the aliens need people? Let's, come up with this big intricate theme to promote community and the difference between aliens that have community by default and humans that have to work for community. And it's just a natural progression of questions. That's the main way that I write. I ask questions about what I'm making, and then I come up with a natural answer for it that I think suits the theme most, while also being realistic. And that's something that I'm really happy about Puppet Master for, too. Puppet Master I wrote in the same way, and me and Eric are really happy with how that story is, and we're excited to get that game out, years from now, so that people can see the lore of it. But I think it's a really effective way to write. I wish more people would do it, because it's not hard to think of natural answers to important questions in stories. It's not particularly difficult, and I think the stories that come out of those questions are, like, much more engaging than starting with a theme. But that's just me. That's just my writing style. So maybe I shouldn't say that about other stories, but that's how I do it.
As
That's
someone
really interesting.
currently, you go first.
No, I just wanted to comment on that.
Oh yeah. As someone currently trying to come up with lore for my own game, that's a really good way to do that. To just come up with questions for. That's a good system. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, just ask the hard questions. Ask the hard questions that a player is going to ask, and then come up with answers for them. And if you can't come up with an answer, then something's wrong with your story, and you need to take a step back and change something.
That's a good idea.
That's the best way to have a satisfying, interconnected lore that has lots of aspects to it that all just make sense together.
That's really awesome.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
No problem, Toroga, man. Thanks for making the Travelers.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for playing it.
Of course.
Thanks for wanting to make it better.
Oh man, it's gonna be fun. Oh, our next question. Darn, I'm still processing all the themes and stuff. That's really cool to have. If you can link us that, throw it up on the wiki, the notes you have, if you scrub it, of any secret areas. But that would be really cool to look at too.
After this podcast, like after this call's over, I'm gonna go on. I'll put the whole note on Pastebin. I'll scrub it for anything that shouldn't be there, and I'll put it on Pastebin and link it in here for you guys to decide what you want to do with. If you want to put it on the wiki or something,
that'll be awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
But one more thing, or a few more things on our topic list. What I think we kind of touched this a few times throughout the different podcasts and discussions, but what are some expectations versus reality with the Travelers as far as how things were developed and also how players handled things?
Okay, so expectation versus reality of the Travelers. Honestly, I think it's what I was saying earlier, like the community that you guys have created in relation to, like, the planned community that was the natural derivation of the gameplay. I'm really happy with it. I think my expectations were they were at least met. They were definitely exceeded. Because you guys just did so much for the community and continue to do so much even after the puzzle's over. You guys have created an incredible thing, and um, you know, the expectation was for that to exist at all, and the reality is that it's so much more. And I'm just really happy about that. So that's what I have to think of that from a community perspective. I guess of a gameplay perspective, I didn't expect as many exploits. I guess the reality is that Lightning comes out with a new exploit every week. The expectation was, Logic posts this screenshot all the time. This is probably my last message in the puzzle spoilers. With like the search right below it, and it's like 5,000 messages.
Oh my gosh.
So that's your answer for that.
All right, thank you. And I really appreciate, I'm also very proud of everything that everyone's done for the community. It's a very positive space to be a part of.
Absolutely. It is a positive space in an internet full of toxic cesspools.
Yes, which is kind of surprising coming out of the 2B2T community. I feel like, it's kind of a... Going into it, I don't know, like, how much you expected, like, if it was going to be toxic or wholesome or anything like that.
I thought it was going to be much more toxic than it is. I mean, the natural result of anarchy is toxicity. So I definitely thought there would be a lot more, like low-level drama among players who hated each other for stuff like griefing and destroying bases and hunting each other down. I definitely thought that would be more of a thing. And I'm not disappointed. I'm honestly so surprised that there's like zero toxicity in the community. Like everyone loves each other, and no one goes out of their way to grief stuff, and like it's just so cool to me. It's really cool. I'm proud of you guys.
Yeah. Thank you. Other than Aston, who griefed Logic Sonic that one time, he didn't stick around.
Yes.
So
there was one grief.
One grief. Actually, yeah. I think there's only been one. Actually, no. You griefed our wall. Take it back. Come on, torogadude.
Yeah,
Toxic.
Okay,
canceled.
Fine. 2 griefs.
Get him out of the community. Banned from the
griefs,
Discord.
Fine. I learned an important lesson, which is don't do stuff without talking to the player base first. And hey, I lived up to that lesson by not removing all the bodies from the uranium spot. Okay.
Thank you.
Talk to you guys.
Appreciate that. We've learned. The wall politics has progressed. We've progressed the discourse. That's all good. Oh, but I want to ask, just like, kind of community and gameplay wise, just what are some of your favorite moments that have happened in the Travelers?
Definitely the Atomic Conspiracy. That was a fun month to be paying attention to the Travelers, and also because every day I knew at any point someone was going to detonate the bomb in the right spot. So like every day I was like, is this going to be the day that they finish it? Is this going to be the day? It was so exciting. That was like the best time for me.
It was. I love Lightning's like kind of his videos kind of covering it dramatically. It was there was so much stuff going on like in front of the scenes and behind the scenes. It was really crazy to be a part of.
Those videos don't even cover like half of it, probably.
I know. There was so much stuff.
It was like wall. It was like the wall situation where you had like multiple layers of private DMs going, and there was like, is this guy a spy? Is he a spy? We don't know.
We still don't know. That's the thing. We still don't know. Seriously, happenstance. Hit us up. Play some Minecraft Bed Wars with me and talk about what happened. Let's do it, okay?
So, Super Huge Yes. Is Happenstance sitting in the room with us? Can you hear him speaking even now?
I don't know who Happenstance is, dude. Unless torogadude is Happenstance.
I'm trying to be like you're a schizophrenic and like Happenstance isn't real.
Oh,
never
that
real.
would be freaky.
It's all in our minds, yeah.
Jeez, I can't believe. Oh, I love the part in Lightning's newest video where it's like the scroll, like the picture with Lightning WB scrawled all over it, and like in the dictionaries and stuff.
Dude, that picture was wild. I was so sure that was like a weird, like, just like a picture they pulled off of Google or something, but like it had all like the Travelers references like written down, like it clearly wasn't photoshopped in physical paper in the image. That was crazy. That's another reason why I love that whole chapter so much. Why that's my overall favorite moment of the Travelers. Is like
it's still
people are going to crazy lengths.
I know. And if Amy is true, that means Happenstance paid $400 to get her to voice act for the Travelers podcast.
Yeah, I don't believe that, but
I don't know.
that's
I
that's
want
still
to get to the bottom of. I want to know their. I don't know who it is. It probably is Alec and Amy. I'm not sure, but I want to know whoever Happenstance is. I want to know their perspective on the events that went down.
It's just baffling because it doesn't even make sense as to what they would have wanted to achieve with the atomic
know.
detonator. Like,
I think. Oh, I don't know if I've mentioned this publicly. I probably have, but it's good to record it on the podcast. Like when I went down to beat the game, I turned just before I detonated. I was like, "Oh, I want to see if there's any players around," and I used my high range rescue scanner, and I found Happenstance like AFK going back and forth, like not very far from the nuclear site.
really?
And like apparently, like Glack just sent an image. Like apparently happens. I think it was Glack at least. Happens is like still like the account Happenstance is still gaining XP. So like Happenstance, the account has completely disappeared, but they seem to still be somewhat active in the Travelers, which is very, very bizarre. So Happenstance, again, hit us up, please. We want to hear your story.
I know this question was technically for Trogadude, just asking about what the favorite moments were, but I think if you had to ask for me, like aside from just obviously, the wall and whatever, which was crazy, my favorite moment was definitely release day, I think, because that was just pretty wild. Everyone was like, gearing up to get in there and like loot everything near spawn. There's like a huge fight when we all got there, and then we all piled in a voice chat when we got in the sepulcher. Yeah,
That was really cool too.
I honestly don't think I can choose. There's been so many good moments in and out, like Squiggles as tired Bramblery as like there's so many things that have just happened.
yeah.
The wall, the atomic conspiracy, like all the pre-release stuff, the Aduro games. It's just been an app. I cannot choose a singular moment. There's been so much awesome stuff that's happened.
Yeah, I have to agree with that. There's not something I can choose. There's so much that I've done, like, privately, publicly, with all the people involved, and it's just...
It's been
all been great, all been positive.
It's been really amazing. But unless anyone else has anything to bring up, I think we're ready to go into viewer questions.
All right, this is the part of the podcast that makes me regret doing the podcast. So here we go.
We love our viewers.
Yeah, they're all right.
They're okay. Oh, actually, I've got a quick question I want to ask first. So I was watching, I don't own Rust, but I was watching a Rust video the other day, and I realized that, like, so first off, I know that the building is kind of inspired by Rust in a few ways, with, like, how long it takes to break. I know you mentioned Rust a few times when designing
Oh
it.
yeah.
But the like the events in Rust are called monuments, which I didn't realize, and I was wondering if that was a
they are,
potential.
yeah.
Was that
No,
an inspiration for the monument?
No, that's a coincidence.
Okay,
Yeah, monument's just a
interesting.
word.
I was wondering because I knew that the building connection was there. I was wondering if there was that connection as well.
Yeah, no, I totally forgot about that. I think I called it monolith at first, and then I think
Oh yeah.
I think the first name I came up for it was monolith, and then went to monument instead.
I think monument is
Because
more of a
as
unique
the
name.
lore evolved, what's at the center of the monument now was that last message
Yeah.
from the aliens. So it became more of a monument rather than a simple monolith.
That's true. Who wants to read the viewer questions?
I'll do it. I think that's traditionally
Alright.
tradition. Ducky McLucky asks, our favorite duck, were there any inspirations for the aliens in thetravelers.online? I think we already mostly covered that, but maybe Tor wants
Does he
to
mean like the
elaborate further.
physical form?
I think he just means like the idea of aliens being in the game.
Anything, but if there's anything you want to expand,
Yeah.
like as the physical form, you can go ahead and do it.
The first thing I thought was physical form, so I can talk about that a little bit. The whole alien number system works in threes, so that's why they have 3 fingers and 3 toes. Or wait, I don't remember if they had toes, but they had 3 fingers on each hand. I made them humanoid because I figured humanoid was like I don't know. When aliens are too far different from humans, I feel like it becomes more cheesy and less relatable, I guess. But also when it's I feel like it's hard to make an alien that's not like immediately cheesy when you describe him when he's like so different from being a normal human being, you know. So I just went with humanoid, just made his skin very different. I made the eyes are purple actually because um, so if you know how eyes like the human eye and like biological eyes work, they can only see a certain spectrum of electromagnetic radiation, which is the color range from purple to blue, I think. No, purple to red. So it's like a very small range. So the reason aliens' eyes are purple is because I had the idea of, if they're gonna, be completely different life forms and they're gonna evolve totally differently, then maybe on their planet, um, different forms of life and different forms of objects are more useful. Like from an evolutionary standpoint, it would be more useful for them to see different colors, see different bands of the electromagnetic spectrum. So their eyes are purple because we see them as purple, but for the aliens, they are a array of different colors that is just underneath the wavelength spectrum of our color spectrum. So everything they've made in the entire story was white, purple, and black, because white and black are like, they're normal. That's just light exists at all. And then purple is the top end of their spectrum where it meets with the bottom end of ours. So that's why they're purple, black, and white, and why their organs are purple, black, and white, and why everything they made, like that unnatural like fortress they made, was like tall and purple and black. It's because when they look at our fortresses on Earth, they also see like it just looks purple and black to them because it's out of their range of color. So they basically made it to look exactly the same the way they saw it, but in our range of color, it just looks purple and black to us. So because that's the materials that they used. So.
That's really interesting. I had no idea there was that much thought put into like the color scheme and the eyes and everything like that.
Yeah, no one ever noticed that, but I thought that would be like a cool. I thought if someone noticed that, they would think it was cool. But here I am revealing it. So.
Well, I think it's cool now.
Yeah.
At first I just thought, oh, purple eyes, that's kind of funky, but all the science behind it is very cool as well.
I try to put things that are like. I try to put details that like maybe people won't notice them, but if they do, they'll think it's cool and be like, "Wow, this has so much depth." I try to come up with stuff like that as much as I can when making stories. Again, answering questions that are to the side of the story. Like
Yeah,
how are the aliens different from people and why are they here? Like, okay, well, let's come up with like a reason for their colors to be different. If everything's going to be purple, then why is it purple? Let's say their eyes see a different range of color than ours do.
that's really interesting. All right, we're gonna answer Lightning's questions last.
Oh, actually, oh really? No, I think.
Or do you want to
You
answer?
know what?
Now?
I think how we're gonna do this is he asked a lot of questions. We're gonna go through these rapid fire.
Yes,
yeah,
some of them we already
roll
answered.
Yeah, and I'll say some of them are for Toro, some of them are for just all of us. So
Okay.
let's do it. All right, 3, 2, 1, go. Thoughts on the Travelers Plus Toro. One sentence.
Great.
We
Cool.
already answered
All right.
this.
It doesn't matter. Second question. When will the next update come with my house to Toro?
That's
Wait,
talking about the
say that
house
again?
that he.
I don't know. his answer.
When will the next update come with Lightning's house? You had remember you said that if there was a competition, you'd add like an event to the Travelers, and Lightning created
Oh yeah.
I forget, it was like a school, I think.
I never
if I'm not
officially announced that though, right?
I think you kind of alluded to it, but he was asking when his house is going to be added.
Maybe never, because I don't feel like it.
Cool.
'Cause-
No.
Question 3.
We'll add it in the Travelers Plus. Exclusive. But you should add it. I think it's a good idea.
It's definitely a good idea, but adding events in the Travelers is a really, really horrible system. And also, remember in the Travelers the other day, I was talking about being tempted to rewrite the whole event system because I came up with a better system on the spot right there because I'm just a better game developer now.
Yeah.
If I had done something like that, then I could just easily drop a house into the game and it would be done. And I could just make it in the admin panel. But
That's true.
the way it is right now is just a stupidly difficult programming scheme to make any kind of house or event. So it's just really bad.
I'm sure if you give Lightning a format if you give him the code for a city or something. I don't know if this is that easy though. I'm sure he would figure out everything to do for you. But He is Lightning WB. Or is it not that simple? Is it like
I'm
there's
sure
more
he
stuff to it than
could.
that?
It's more complicated though. There's like an events dot like CS programming file that's like 4,000 lines long or something, and it contains
Oh
every
boy.
single string for every single room and button and event in the entire game. They're all just like
Yeah.
really disorganizedly stacked within like JSON trees in C sharp. It's just really bad. It's terrible. I don't want to talk about it anymore.
Okay. Question 4. How long until the game reaches 3 online players?
Never. As long as someone is botting.
As long as Lightning WB keeps playing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a question for all. I'm gonna say, I don't know, it kind of depends on the direction it goes. And kind of depends on how much the Travelers' capacity for growth is. I think with the Travelers Plus, the capacity to grow, like, with new content, I feel like is a big part of, like, interest and things like that. If it was just kind of the Travelers and there weren't, like, more content being made, or, like, there wasn't the Travelers Plus on the horizon, I feel like there wouldn't be that much of an interest in it anymore. But I feel like with other, like, it's kind of gonna be like, I hate to bring up 2B2T again, but like there's other like knockoff servers kind of, I don't know the exact stuff, but like people still want to do 2B2T even if it's like on an old update or something like that. I feel like because the Travelers is going to be the main version, it's always going to have people that are kind of playing it and things like that if it keeps growing. But maybe in a year it won't. Hopefully in a year it'll be even bigger than it is now, but we'll see what happens.
It all depends on how my other games do, I think. I don't think the Travelers has a lot more room for organic growth outside of people coming and looking at it through the new games that I'm making.
Yeah.
I feel like we might be able to get some through Travelers Plus and things like that if we advertise it on some subreddits.
If the Travelers Plus gets like really big and like gets popular within some kind of modding community, then I could definitely see a lot of growth through that. But
I
on
feel
the
like
other hand, it might just be growth for the Travelers Plus and not necessarily for the original Travelers game.
that's true. I feel like it might cross over though, because like I feel like if the Travelers Plus gets big, then it's going to like also cycle back to the Travelers. People are going to be interested in kind of it's always going to be the vanilla experience. So like
Yeah, that's
people
true.
are probably going to play that first and then like so they know what the Travelers is and then get into the Travelers Plus. I feel like it like but I feel like it's going to be more like appealing to join a community when there's so much new stuff that can be made and can be built upon and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
All right, question 3, because I skipped question 3 somehow. What do you all think of the future for the Travelers community? That's kind of broad, but
We kind of talked about this a
yeah,
bit.
I mean, we kind of did.
Yeah,
I think there's kind of 2 directions it could go, or 3 directions actually. One, I think it's gonna stay. It could stay close knit like it is now. 2, it could die. Hopefully that doesn't happen. I think that's the least likely. And then 3, it could grow or even get super big. Maybe not super big, but I think I would bet on maybe an optimistic bet, but I would bet on it getting a pretty sizable community in the future, especially with the Travelers Plus.
Question 5. Are there any hints for the secrets? I think we already went over this. But...
Say more hints though, Tora. Come on.
Nope, I already gave. You've gotten your yearly allotment for hints.
Oh,
Alrighty.
no.
Question 6. What were your expectations for the puzzle and community versus what we have today? We already went over this.
Yeah,
Lightning's
that's on the
reader.
topic list.
Thoughts on my new video, says Lightning.
I liked it.
It was pretty good.
It was good.
It feels weird to have a tribute about yourself, but it was good for what it
It's
was.
very well executed.
Yeah, pretty much same.
I'm excited to see more Lightning WB content.
I want Lightning WB to make an autobiography.
yeah, exactly.
Hour-long Lightning WB documentary covering like each individual bug he's reported that hasn't been fixed.
Oh god.
That would be a lot longer than an hour.
Wait, hold on, Tara.
Oh,
Did you ever unstick his like 30 alts or whatever it was?
I think he
I think
did.
the one update I did fixed that. I'm
Oh,
pretty sure.
okay.
That was a while ago, and I'm pretty sure there's been a few updates since then. And that was definitely on the list.
Yeah, I only remember that because Lightning wouldn't shut up about it for the longest time.
Yeah, it was funny. It made me want to. It made me want to push it off more and more because it was just funny to see him suffer.
Yeah.
Poor Lightning WB.
Poor Lightning. What a shame.
hmm Next question. What was the process behind making a clue to Tara?
That's a good question. Well, the hardest one was definitely the first clue because the first clue is going to be the progression into other ones and into demonstrating how clues are going to work for the entire puzzle. So the first clue had the most thought put into it. Um, and it was supposed to be like a golden, how the golden record of humans works. It was supposed to be something like that. If you don't know what the golden record that was launched on Voyager 1 is, I highly
Yeah.
recommend looking that up. It's extremely cool. But I wanted to do a similar thing like the aliens did that and left it at the sepulcher where the oh, did I talk about who the witness, the leader, and the betrayer are supposed to be?
You didn't go into that actually, yes.
Well,
But that's cool
I
that
think you
the
might have touched on it
I feel
a
like I
a
while
mentioned it
back,
little
in a
bit.
Discord
but
call
I don't know much about it.
Yeah,
What
a couple
about
that's
it?
days
not
ago.
very in depth.
Yeah, so and that's good that we're talking about the clues because the picture clues were just like I just came up with cool ideas for like math problems and then made the math or made like the alien number system demonstrate the solution to the problem and then like be be not like extremely difficult to figure out but hard enough that like you have to put a lot of thought into it and still have to arrive at the right look. I have to commit to being confident enough with an answer to decide to go to the location, which takes a long time. Um, which is an interesting aspect of the puzzle. I do wish the puzzle was longer, but the lore that goes into the puzzle was cool because I got to like slowly introduce all of these themes of the game. Um, though I think one of the favorite things that I wrote was the one clue that says something like evolution was bold, but nature was wrong. A different approach must be considered because that's like the whole theme of the game that I was talking about earlier.
Yeah,
So,
that's true.
so that's what I was trying to say with the one clue was like the aliens are different not simply because they're aliens, but because their entire origin of existence was based on a different idea from humans, and that's why we're all here now. So I got to slowly introduce each concept to the game. Um, the sepulcher was something like the betrayer. I actually have it in the notes on my phone. Let me pull it up. Oh wow, the original name for the sepulcher was the Sepulcher of Betrayal. In my notes here, it says I
Interesting.
don't think it ever references that the betrayer is the guy who is in the coffin at the sepulcher. I think one of the clues later on like mentions it that there's a betrayer
Yeah.
somewhere, but it's never explicitly said that the guy in the coffin is the sepulcher guy. But it says there's the betrayer guy. It says as those he doomed, death's woeful claim of he whose cowardice ended his kin is enshrined here forever. So that introduces like the start of like this one guy is the reason that humanity died. And the actual guy who lays there is CDC Director Crawford. He's the guy who blew up the bomb below the CDC, which
Oh.
Right.
destroyed the cure for the fertility virus. So
And why
there,
did he blew that up because there were the people
because people
downstairs,
were
right?
yeah. So the rioters, like the protesters, had gotten into the building and were like trying to come steal it from them, and they were like ransacking everything. So for one reason or another, you know, his cowardice ended his kin, as the clue says. As those he
That's
doomed,
really
death's woeful
interesting.
claim of he whose cowardice ended his kin is enshrined here forever. He stays there forever. So that's like the first introduction to the whole fertility virus aspect of the story. The whole responsibility for humanity's death relies on one person and one person's mistake. Or ultimately, there were a lot of people that contributed to it, obviously, but he was the one who made the main mistake. So he is deemed the betrayer. Later on, it talked about, and here, so the next clue, I think, yeah, so the pyramid at the edge of the world um, says preservation of self, which remember earlier I was talking about self preservation is like the core of life on earth. Preservation of
Yeah.
self became competition, became desperation, became destruction of community. Four testaments to mankind's failure, four beacons to alter evolution. So again, going deeper into that theme of the game and talking more about what the why humans died and why they failed. Fear of evil begat evil, fear of pain begat pain, fear of sorrow begat sorrow. Break the cycle, do not fail as they did. Talking about why you are different as a traveler, why you do not feel these things the way the old humans did. So the thought process of making like a math clue is fairly simple. It's just like make some math, make like a picture, put it all together, and like make it cool. But writing the poetry for each of these areas was it was just it's my story writing process. It's just a natural progression of questions about the game and thinking about the high points of the story, the important parts of the story, and what they mean, and then talking about it basically in a poetic way and trying to be as poetic as possible.
Interesting. And wait, who was the guy that was in the fortress, like suspended over the
So the
like
text for
suspended
that
in the
one,
air?
the text for that one says, "The witness allowed the betrayer to end his kin. His punishment too shall be endless. Our language unto yours through the dead's descended minds. They shall have no life in the new world. They shall be our tools to guide the travelers." So he is the witness. That's the one thing that refers to the betrayer, who's the guy in the Supwalker. The
Okay.
witness was. Did I write it down in my notes? Oh crap! I don't think I did. Oh no, I don't think I wrote down who the witness was.
Uh-oh.
Um, crap, because the CDC director was the betrayer. I think the witness was.
There was like the president, there was the person that like flew out of there that knew that was gonna like leak it.
Yeah, but the person who flew away, like she was female, and this explicitly says they're male.
Yeah.
So it's not her. It would be cool if it was her, because that's like a whole other flaw of humanity. I should have said. I should have made it her. I think her name was Cindy. I don't remember. That would have been cool. But I think the witness was either the president or one of like the um
I remember we were
one of
talking
the.
about it in voice chat at one point, and
Yeah, do you
Lightning
guys remember?
guessed
I
it.
don't know why I can't remember.
Lightning typed in the chat, and it says the secretary is the witness, maybe? Or, I don't know if that was his correct guess or not.
The secretary.
That's what it says. I remember you said
I don't know why I can't remember right
We gotta help torogadude solve the lore of his own game.
now. Yeah, there you go. It's not in my notes, so you have to actually solve it. So the next one was the Department of Secrets, where it talked about the leader. Your kind made first contact with us long ago, but they acted as though harbingers of death. Your weapons superior to our pacifism. We left them behind and watched from afar, and so their doom came upon them in time. And notice it's saying them and they. It's talking about not you guys. It's talking about old humanity. You will be different, traveler. You will be humanity's redemption. We bestow upon you this gift of knowledge. And then it gives you the blueprint for the alien phaser. And then, but outside of the Department of Secrets was the poem that goes, "The plague's inception, a curse from death itself to a leader, most terrible. Evolution was bold, but nature was wrong. A different approach must be considered." The leader was obviously the vice president. He was the guy who came up with the virus and who started the whole thing. I think it was the vice president, right? Did I change it to the president? Pretty sure it was the vice president.
I forget. We'll have
I
to
think
read.
it-
Also, if
No,
you
no, it
remember
was
who
the president. It was the president
it was
because
the president.
yeah, because the president is the one laying next to the dissected alien in the Department of Secrets. He's the leader.
Oh, he is. He's
Yeah.
He's the one in the Department of Secrets.
Yes.
Interesting.
So who is the
Okay.
witness then? Why can't I remember who?
Who is the witness? If you remember the witness, please let us know. We'll put it on screen.
Whatever. But yeah, this question went way longer because now I'm just reading all the clue texts. But yeah, it's just come up with one of the higher and more important points of the story, and then write a little poem about it, and tie it into what this clue means. So, fairly simple, but like it's still a process to come up with something interesting to talk about.
That's interesting. I just have one question now. Or I guess two questions. The guy that was in the governing city that you meet, and I guess also the person in the like who because he's lost his memory, right?
Yeah, so they were supposed to be people who like the alien technology just missed. So the aliens thought everyone was dead. They didn't realize there were people who were still alive. And then after the fact, after the flash, as they said, they remembered a flash, and then they were just there. After that, the aliens were just like, oh, well, they can just stay, and we can see how the travelers interact with the old humans as part of.
Oh, so they're immortal. Is that why?
No. It's one of those things that's like a bad gameplay thing. Like they're immortal.
Okay.
They just and they're still alive. It's just the gameplay doesn't really work that well with that aspect.
Yeah, because I mean they have been
Like they
around
should
for
have died
hundreds
by
of
now.
years.
I mean,
Yeah.
we could lure it and say, yeah, they're immortal because they got hit with some of the traveler's juice, but they didn't like.
The juice.
Well, like they didn't actually like because they weren't dead. They weren't dead, so like they were made immortal like the travelers.
You could
'Cause
just
the
like do
travelers were
some.
raised to be dead.
You could just do some Half-Life retcon where it's like, oh, they got stored cryogenically or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah, there you go. Cryogenics. That's it.
So lore wise, they technically like original lore wise, I guess they technically would only be there for like 40 years into like the first 40 days of the game, and then they would stop being there. But gameplay,
Yeah, that's how I
need them.
that's how I should have done it, or just committed to them being immortal or something. Being like they were alive, so when they were hit with the travelers,
The Flesh.
the Flash, they were just made immortal. But
That's the new lore, I guess. It would be
Yeah.
interesting to have
'Cause
content
they were alive
locked
instead of dead.
after the first 40 days. I don't know how that would like. I don't
yeah,
know if that would be
programming
good
that
enough.
would probably also have been annoying.
And also, like, there would be content locked, like, after that point. Like,
Yeah,
if no one finds a trap door, then it's just like, I guess you'd find a dead person. But
Yeah, I don't like that about the exploding beacons because that's like a whole aspect of the lore that's not in the game anymore.
yeah.
Like the one poem that I wrote there, the self-preservation onto whatever whatever negative thing it was. So yeah, that's just lost. It's not in the game anymore, which is a shame because stuff like that should still be around. So yeah, there should have been things should have persisted more. That's another flaw.
That's interesting. No, it's a flaw, but it's still cool to be able to talk to people and stuff. So that just confused me a little bit when I'm like, why are there people still when it's been around for hundreds of years? But that makes sense.
All right. This last question I'm not going to say out loud. I'll have Bram put it on the screen, but I'm not going to say it.
Yeah, I don't think we need
I'm
to.
gonna say it out.
I don't think we should dignify that with a response.
Really?
How
You
is
don't think we should
everyone's
acknowledge it at
Flip
all?
a Friday?
Super. You're not supposed to say that.
I'm sorry. I owe it to my boy Lightning WB. Torogadude, how is your Flip a Friday?
It's Saturday.
Yeah, exactly.
There you go.
If we
There
filmed
you
this a
go.
day earlier, it would have been relevant, but alas. Okay. Almost done. We're almost through it. Phineas the Fur, he has 2 questions. His first one is, how much time do you think it'll take for us to discover all the lore?
I mean, you're already most of the way there, except for the other secrets. So
How long do you think it'll take us to find the other secrets?
I don't know. Again, I think it's going to be a new player stumbling into it rather than an old player trying to grind to find it. So I really can't say. It could be
Interesting.
years, could be months, could be today.
James
Who
is already at both of them. He's not on the Discord, so he can't let us know.
Phineas' second question. Did we play the game in the way that you expected us to do so? Okay.
Yes, more or less, yeah. Like I was saying, the community went way deeper and cooler than I thought it would be, but it was basically more or less what I thought would happen.
Okay. And we got 2 questions from Slippy as well. He asks, if you were to make the Travelers again, would you add side puzzles to help build the world lore? Or would you extend the main puzzle to add more lore?
It would be the main puzzle that I extended.
Yeah, that makes sense.
If I were to extend it long enough, it would be cool to make branching paths of the puzzle that people could follow on their own. So if they got stuck on one, they could try the other path, and they all coincide at one point. I think that would be a really cool idea.
That would be really cool.
But yeah, there's a lot I would do if I got to remake the Travelers. If I got to go back in time with my current skill as a programmer and remake it, there's a lot I would do differently. And that's probably one of those things. Make the puzzle longer, make it more interesting, add more lore, add side puzzles and side branching parts of the same puzzle. There's so much potential.
All right. And Slippy's last question is the lawnmower a Toro brand lawnmower? So I'm not sure if you're aware of Toro, but there's a brand that manufactures.
I'm aware.
I'm not sure if they're like. Okay, yeah.
You see that lawnmower? You see it right there on the screen right now?
Yeah.
It's not that one.
That's a real shame.
It's so sad. It's the one. It's inside the secret room in City 2, where it rests today.
Yes.
Before I've been asking way too many questions, but one more question I want to ask is a project that I've kind of had, or an idea that I've had for the Travelers Plus would be to have either a new puzzle or like an expanded puzzle for the Travelers that probably like only a few people would work on, so that the rest of the community could have more stuff to solve. Would you be interested in helping with designing the lore or anything like that? Or would you be interested in being involved in some way with the Travelers Plus in the future, or you kind of want to have a hands-off approach to it and kind of let it go its own course?
I think I'd like to have a hands-off approach and let it grow organically on its own. I mean, people are welcome to come ask me about like pointers for the lore, and like if you want to expand the current lore, I'd be happy to give you pointers. But um, as far as
Okay.
gameplay, programming, and plugins and stuff, I'd like to see it happen organically. So I won't be directly like putting in commits or anything like Lightning has asked me to do. So I won't be doing anything like that.
If you ever have any ideas for anything you want to add or try out, though, feel free to contact us. We'll be happy to help you with that. But I appreciate the offer to ask you lore questions and different things like that.
Yeah, of
Because
course.
I think expanding the lore and puzzle and things would be really cool things to add to the Travelers.
Definitely.
I think that's the last of the viewer questions. Is there anything else you guys want to say before going on to our last thing?
I can't think of anything.
Yeah, I think I'm good.
Oh, I guess I'll just say, yeah, thanks, Toro, because this is probably the last podcast. Well, maybe, I don't know, but this is probably the last podcast episode we'll have with you on. So just, thanks for making the game. I don't really know how else to put that, but it's been a great experience.
Well, thank you.
Same here.
And I can only say thanks for playing. It's really a treat to have had so many people play this game and to experience this thing that I got to make. So appreciate it, guys.
Yeah, it's been really special, I guess.
It's been crazy. It's weird to think that, like, I've been playing the Travelers for, like, at this point, probably, like, a 17th of my life, 17th, 18th, I don't know. Like, a large chunk of my life, and so much has happened, it's been, I don't know. I'm going to remember this for the rest of my life. I'm sure of it. So thank you for making it and for growing this amazing community.
But we're not done quite yet, because we still have one last special treat for you, Toro.
Yeah,
We've got something we want to show you before we let you go here. So I think Bram's going to get it ready.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
Okay, I'm gonna get it ready. And
I'm scared.
I wouldn't be.
Lightning WB joins the call. As you can see, I found a way into the admin panel.
The Travelers will be going offline in 5 minutes unless you meet my demands.
Now, there's no ampersands anymore. Everyone's a lawnmower. There's just the whole world is shaped like Australia now.
Okay, so let me know as soon as you join it. I'm gonna stream something. Let me know as soon as you're on it. I'm gonna start it pretty much right away.
Okay.
Super and Logic have seen it, so if you're late, you're late. So Toro, let me know as soon as you are good.
Okay, I can see your screen. This is so cool. Dude, that was amazing. That was so cool. That was really wow.
That was animated by Coherent Nonsense, and the sound was done by Logic.
Wow, man, that was incredible. Dude, you guys, that was really cool.
We're glad you like it. So we won't go too much into what that's going to be yet, because it's still at its very beginnings, but that is something to get hyped for. I'm excited.
Oh, I'm
about
hyped. That's amazing. Wow, I'm excited.
Yeah, it's technically still in early development, but we've been working on this for
It's
maybe bordering on a year now. I'm not sure.
yeah,
Like,
Oh,
it's been in
boy.
various forms since like
yeah,
October, but I think we're finally have a direction to.
It started out as like a traveler's trailer, and then it's gone through a lot of different changes. Like it originally was going to be like a more like a standard travelers type video for a trailer. And then it expanded, and then we beat the game, and then now we're doing something else. But it's going to be really cool. I'm excited about it. So
Yeah, totally.
hopefully,
That was really cool. 10 out of 10.
I'm really hyped for it to
Oh,
see it to fruition.
oh, Tara, quiz. Do you know which house that was actually based on?
That was the one with the dog, right? Was the name of
Yeah,
the dog?
the
The
one
dog?
with the
That's
dog.
the only.
Can you name
I
The
it?
think
one
it
with
did
the
have the
start,
dog in it,
the start
but
dog and the hanging guy. I don't remember
yeah.
the houses by the titles.
Hmm.
Um, uh,
But it was that one, I know.
yeah, I know exactly which one you're talking about. I just don't remember the name of it.
The title
You,
is A
you
Humble
guys are the
Home.
ones who remember them all by the titles. I remember them by like
Yeah.
the internal numbers, like what order they came in, because that's how I kept track of them.
Actually, I don't know if we
If I
have
remember
that
right, that one was number
documented.
4.
Like, we've got the cities documented. I don't think we have the numbers of the houses documented. So that's something to put on the wiki. If anyone else remembers that,
Yeah, I mean,
we don't have to worry
I don't
about that
remember
right now,
exactly.
though.
I think that was either 4 or 5 or 3. No,
Interesting.
because the first 2 didn't have any loot, and then the third and the fourth one had loot because I just made the system. So I think it's number 5 because that was the next
Okay.
one I wanted to make that didn't have loot. No, wait, no, it does have loot, right? You can pick up rope there because the guy hung himself.
I don't
It's a
think
really
you can
sick
pick up rope. I don't think you can.
You can't really.
I don't
No,
remember. It's on the wiki.
I don't think so. I picked the or sorry. There's some. This was originally this scene. I think was taken from like the trailer. I picked it. I wrote like the trailer script, and this house was picked specifically because it did not have any loot in it. So
Oh, okay, all right. Then it was probably number 5 then because it doesn't have loot. I'm gonna go with my gut on that one.
Lightning superstructures made out of rope from that. Would be a bit darker of a superstructure if that was the case. But anything else you want to say?
No, just well, I mean, yes, I guess since I'm about to talk, not really. Um, just thanks everyone for playing, for listening, and engaging in community content like this podcast. If you've made it this far into this video, just thank you to everyone. This was such a special thing to have so many people be a part of. It's like nothing else, and I'm just really happy about it, and I'm thankful to you all for everything you've done for the community. So thank you.
Thank
And
you
thank you
too,
for
Tor.
playing.
It's been
Yep, thank you.
thank you.
I can't keep restating it. It's been a really amazing time.
It has been.
Yeah, I mean, thank you to our viewers, too. Especially, like, I know, it's thank you to people who play the game, but especially, from our perspective, thanks to people to, listen to these because they're fun to put together. It's good to see people
They
reacting
are.
to them. So, yeah, I think with that, that's what we're going to call it. So,
Thanks for listening.
yeah, thank you. We'll see y'all next time. Goodbye.
Peace out. In season 3.
Yeah.
See you in season 3.